Welcome back to the channel. This is the home of common sense bodybuilding. I'm Samuel Richards. This is the Stage Ready series. In this series, we cover my first ever competition prep for Classic Physique in August 2021. Time is ticking. We're 17 weeks out, starting to get hungry. And today we're going to be covering one of the topics which I found difficult to navigate when I was entering the world of competitive bodybuilding. That's choosing which coach is right for you. This is all going to be based on what you need out of a coach.
It's all about you, baby.
And every single one has different pros, cons, a different approach to training, diet, anabolics, and also their own price point. So we'll give you some parameters to look for in a coach that will give you the best shot of getting it right first time. I'm going to link the other Stage Ready episodes up here. Go check them out. If you don't know whether it's the right time for you to compete or you're not sure you can afford it yet, there's some videos there to serve your needs. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. You're deep into calorie deficits, you're messing with your body's limitations, you're pushing health to the absolute limits. Obviously, this goes without saying for every single aspect of contest prep, but choosing the right coach can really be the difference between derailing your dreams and seeing your full potential realized. So I'm going to give you some brief tips to help you make that decision. Tip number one is going to be focusing on cost. Let's face it, coaches are damn expensive. Bodybuilding is expensive. The coaching costs can range anywhere between $100 to thousands of pounds per month. Even IFBB pros at the top level are limited because some coaches, such as Patrick Tuur, demand some pretty hefty price tags. Now, this is an incredibly important cost, right? Even the most informed athletes have a coach because this is an independent set of eyes. A contest prep is not any other time of year where you're mentally at 100% and you can sit there and detach yourself from the situation, remove all emotion, and just make an informed decision about what you should do. You're going to be in emotional mood swing central. This is going to be a pretty horrible time for you mentally, and then trying to also make objective decisions is just going to be a major stress and nigh on impossible for anyone to truly detach themselves during that time. If you're thinking clearly, you're probably not dieting hard enough. But there is a saving grace to this, okay? There are some coaches who are around the £200 a month and below mark who are incredibly credible. They are some of the top coaches that I would say on the market. Coaching cost needs to be tailored to your budgets. It needs to be sustainable. I chose a coach personally who both I felt was right for me in terms of all the other things we're going to get into, but also who worked for my budget, right? I'm not somebody who's getting paid, who's getting sponsored to do this. This is, at the end of the day, at its core right now, a hobby. And you need to be relative and not commit yourself to a £500,000 a month coach just because they're the best in the industry if you're competing for a first time at a regional show. What is relative to your development stage and situation? If you have a local coach and they've proved results, they've shown that they can actually do something, then it doesn't matter if they're only £100 a month versus somebody online who might charge you £1,000. That person might not even be in your country. You might be somebody who needs really hands-on support, so a local coach might be the way to go. Second thing you want to be looking out for is their expertise. How clever are they? A first-time competitive bodybuilder might not need those intricate levels of knowledge about individual areas of training, mobility, diet, whatever it might be, that a top level athlete will need. And yes, you'll need a more knowledgeable coach as you progress. You need to be able to make those marginal gains which come with the more intricate layers of detail. Stuff like meal timing, meal frequency, all those kind of things which can be a bit more flexible in the earlier stages based on convenience. But the main thing to look out for here, no matter what, is do they have a science-based approach? Is there substance behind what they say? And how is that generally perceived against the rest of the market's opinion on the similar issues? I'm not saying you're looking for a conformist, but you're looking for somebody who can at least make their own individual argument based on information that's real, that's out there. How much on-the-ground experience do they have to connect those scientific theories and that background of knowledge to actually real results? This is a major factor, and bodybuilding is not an art or a science, it's a combination of the both. You need to be able to take the scientific base level of knowledge and the ability to know how to manipulate pathways in the body, basically create hypertrophy and the optimal conditions for that, but also you need to be able to have the knowledge of what actually works in practice. This is hotly debated, but I am genuinely a believer that a blended approach is best and that not all scientific theory translates into reality, and not all bro science is founded in fact. An easy way to gauge this is simply to consume their content. So, for example, with my coach Josh Bridgman, I listen to his podcast, watch his YouTube videos, and follow him on Instagram for a period of time. First of all, one of the key signs is that they actually communicate about these complex issues on social media. If they address big questions, things that are risky if they potentially, show themselves not to have that level of knowledge, they could easily be criticized. So to even put themselves out there in the first place, they must have a decent level of credibility or ability to tackle those questions. The second layer is, of course, what they're saying, who their audience is, and you can generally judge from their responses online what their feeling is towards the most important aspects of bodybuilding, such as diet, nutrition, and anabolics use. The third consideration is going to be their actual practical results. Now, as I hinted at in point number 2, results is very different to theoretical knowledge. This is the application side. So you're going to want to check out their clients on this front, right? Go onto their page. Usually people spotlight clients, try and filter through the list, see a good few examples. How have they done with people who look like you as well? Because that's going to be important. Somebody might be able to take for example, a person who's never stepped foot in the gym or an 150-pound guy and get them to 200 pounds and it looks really impressive. But maybe you're a bit further along that journey. Maybe you're competing in a class that they've never coached somebody within. You need to consider all these things and the results they've been able to get so far. Can they get those people big? Can they get those people shredded? Do those people look aesthetic? And how do they look? If they can't get in shape themselves, it's highly unlikely they're going to take you to the absolute limits of conditioning as a person, which is what bodybuilding demands. They're going to actually take those practices they're taught by their coaches, because there's sort of tier lists and there's top tier guys who sit at the top and they coach Olympians and other top level coaches. Then you've got those Olympians and top level coaches who coach people down, and the information trickles down. So you can probably look at them and judge whether after that trickles down a bit, how's it going to look on my physique? So those 3 factors are really the most important ones that you can tangibly look at and say, okay, fact-based, this is a short list. Now, how do you get that short list of a few names? Because there will be a decent amount of people who match those criteria. How do you get them down to the one that's right? Well, that's going to be the non-tangible factors. Do your world views mesh? Do you like them as a person? Follow them on social media for the other stuff, but also keep an eye on, what's their opinion on certain things that you might have an opinion on. If you are generally quite educated around issues, you'll probably be able to spot red flags here. If they are giving off an energy that for you is just a bit repellent, then you're not going to want to work really closely with this person going through the later stages of prep. You are going to be snappy. You are going to be short. You are going to be short on energy, and dealing with somebody who is the kind of person that you just don't like and that you just don't go on with in life, you want to minimize that kind of stress. And do you respect them? Right? I actually personally think that choosing a coach based on who you're a fan of, as long as they also project really facts-based information and they are intelligent on these issues, is a great choice, because that respect is instantly there. And you like them as a person because you followed them for a while. You clearly like their persona because you listen to them talk every week or however often they post. So choosing somebody who's familiar to you can make this process so much more seamless. But of course, you can't just pick somebody who you find entertaining, okay? All the other factors have to fall into play. This will just be a way of choosing from that shortlist that you've gathered and narrowing it down to the one. Oh, God. Deep into prep. So who would I go for? Obviously, I went for Josh Bridgman, right? But that was based on multiple factors. There were a lot of people on that shortlist. There are some people on there that I am massive fans of that I would love to have worked with. But not everything falls into line in these cases. And Josh, at the end of the day, was the right choice for me. Who do I think is good out there in the market? In no particular order and all based on my personal opinion. First of all, Ben Chow. Ben is extremely smart. He works with one of the most revered coaches in the industry today, who is quite simply bringing up the next top tier of Olympian competitors. And let's face it, he's probably coaching a future Mr. Olympia right now. That's Patrick Tor. Ben has built impressive physiques and has overcome genetic hurdles within his clients and within himself. Look, I'm a fan of Bodybuilding and Bollocks. I think it's some of the greatest content out there, and Ben is most definitely an expert on these matters. If you follow that podcast at all or Fuad's channel, you know that for a fact. This guy is at the top of that coaching ring. He is running seminars with Patrick, teaching the next wave of coaches. So of course, he's not the cheapest, but by no means is he the most expensive. Number 2 is Kuba from the UK. And the reason why I didn't really go with Ben, because he was very competitive. His proposition was because he wasn't UK based. Personally, I feel like I need somebody who's a bit more accessible. He would have absolutely made changes, made it work, been there for me when I needed it. I just needed that definite, that somebody who's on the same time zone, who's local, that extra level of reassurance first time. Kuba is well respected, well informed and well connected. These are all great traits within a coach. He seems to be fairly revered within the bodybuilding community as a whole, and he's doing some amazing things with his own physique and with his clients. I have to say that he had the strongest coaching proposition over email. How he explained it to me, it seemed very wholesome. It seemed like he was really motivated to get his clients results. So he'd be a great pick also. I must admit, I don't know quite as much about his level of expertise as I do about Ben's. However, I do trust that it's up there. Number 3 is going to be Josh Bridgman, my choice. Josh is UK based. Yes, he's not currently an IFBB Pro, but something tells me that's all going to change this year. Time is now, right, Josh? Josh works with some of the smartest guys in the sport. He's plugged into the Muscle Mentors. They coach him and works with loads of IFBB pros, and he's really at the core of the industry. He has a great personal thirst for knowledge, and if you follow his podcast or any of his content, you know that he's constantly learning, very open to concepts. He does try things out. Generally speaking, he's quite well respected as well. He also takes a sensible, common sense approach to bodybuilding. He uses safer use models, and definitely I can say if you check out my contest prep cycle, you'll see that implemented in my contest prep. We're not introducing stuff like 19 NORs for the hell of it. It's very common sense led. And he's provided strong results. I've seen him coach people. Look, yes, most of them are within men's physique, okay? But my size isn't completely out of the realms of men's physique. I am at the point whereby I could step into a men's physique competition and probably do better. However, in my opinion, classic is better for me. I have a dominant lower body. And actually, I'm not that uncompetitive. For a first-time show, I reckon I've got a good chance at the top spot, but not in the open division. This is just a regional qualifier, the lowest level of show. And I know that Josh can do that. I know what Josh can do, and I feel like he could probably take somebody up to a pro card placing. But obviously, as he's a young guy, he doesn't have decades of experience behind him. He doesn't have a massive client base. He's only just bringing on a second coach. So, the guy's up and coming. I think he's going to coach some real gems in the future. Hopefully, I'll be one of them. And the last recommendation is every single top tier coach in the world. We're talking John Meadows, we're talking Matt Jansen, we're talking Patrick Tor, we're talking Chris Aceto, we're talking those top tier people who are entrenched in the sport and who are very much, coaching the greatest people within the sport. There's a reason why most of those are coaching those people. Some of them, yes, there may be less facts-based information as to why they are considered in the top rungs of coaching. They may not be as theory-led, for example, as a John Meadows or Patrick. However, all of them definitely produce some great results and they know bodybuilding like the back of their hand. Obviously, they're going to be expensive. Not all of them, though. And, as I say, you've got guys like Ben out there who have competitive pricing relatively for bodybuilding coaching, who works really closely with Patrick, so you've always got viable alternatives. So look who's plugged into those guys' networks as well. If you have to go a tier down, somebody who's coached by them, then still they're going to pass all that information and knowledge onto you, because at that level they work extremely closely together. Do you have a coach who's delivered some amazing results, right? Let me know in the comments, because this is very much a finite list based on probably a couple of weeks worth of looking that I did and just some information off the coaches and relative sort of pricing and how they work with clients. So absolutely haven't exhausted it. Do let us know, pinpoint who your coach is who's working with you for the first time, or, feel free to ask me any questions about working with Josh too. Was this useful? If so, do drop a like and subscribe and keep posted for all the Stage Ready series content. I'll link the playlist next, but more than anything, good luck with the decision. You got to make the right choice for you. You're not always going to get it right first time, but hopefully I've helped make that decision easier.